Juzai, Juzai Xi, Chinese, Juzai, October 18, 1130, April 23, 1200, formerly romanized Chu Hsi, was a Chinese Confucian scholar, philosopher, and government official of Song dynasty China, who was influential in the development of Neo-Confucianism. He contributed greatly to Chinese philosophy and fundamentally reshaped the Chinese worldview. His works include his editing of and commentaries to the four books which later formed the curriculum of the civil service exam in Imperial China from 1313 to 1905, his writings on the process of the investigation of things Chinese, géwù, pinyin, géwù, and his development of meditation as a method for self-cultivation. He was a scholar with a wide learning in the classics, commentaries, histories, and other writings of his predecessors. In his lifetime he was able to serve multiple times as a government official, although he avoided public office for most of his adult life. He also wrote, compiled, and edited almost 100 books and corresponded with dozens of other scholars. He acted as a teacher to groups of students, many of whom chose to study under him for years. He built upon the teachings of the Cheng brothers and others, and further developed their metaphysical theories in regards to principle Lai Lai and vital force Kai Kai. His followers recorded thousands of his conversations in writing. Life. Juzai, whose family originated in Huaiyuan County, Huizhou in modern Jiangxi province, was born in Fujian, where his father worked as the subprefectural sheriff. After his father was forced from office due to his opposition to the government appeasement policy towards the Jurchen in 1140, Juzai received instruction from his father at home. Many anecdotes attest that he was a highly precocious child. It was recorded that at age 5 he ventured to ask what lay beyond heaven, and by 8 he understood the significance of the classic of filiality Xiaojing. As a youth, he was inspired by Mencius' proposition that all people could become a sage. Upon his father's death in 1143, he studied with his father's friends Hu Zian, Liu Zihui, and Liu Mianji. In 1148, at the age of 19, Juzai passed the imperial examination and became a presented scholar Jinshi Jinshi. Juzai's first official dispatch position was as subprefectural registrar of Tongantong and Zhou, which he served from 1153–1156. From 1153, he began to study under Lai Tong, who followed the Neo-Confucian tradition of Cheng and Cheng, and formally became his student in 1160. In 1179, after not serving in an official capacity since 1156, Juzai was appointed prefect of Nanking Military District Nankangjun, where he revived White Deer Grotto Academy, and got demoted 3 years later for attacking the incompetency and corruption of some influential officials. There were several instances of receiving an appointment and subsequently being demoted. Upon dismissal from his last appointment, he was accused of numerous crimes and a petition was made for his execution. Much of this opposition was headed by Hentuzhu, the prime minister, who was a political rival of Zhu's. Even though his teachings had been severely attacked by establishment figures, almost 1,000 brave people attended his funeral. After the death of Hentuzhu, Zhu's successor Zhen Dexiu, together with Wei Liaoing, made Zhu's branch of Neo-Confucianism the dominant philosophy at the Song court. In 1208, 8 years after his death, Emperor Ningzong of Song rehabilitated Juzai and honored him with the posthumous name of Wengong, meaning venerable gentleman of culture. Around 1228, Emperor Lizong of Song honored him with the posthumous noble title Duke of State Hui Guogong. In 1241, a memorial tablet to Juzai was placed in the Confucian temple at Qufu, thereby elevating him to Confucian sainthood. Today, Juzai is venerated as one of the 12 philosophers Xi of Confucianism. Modern sinologists and Chinese often refer to him as Zhu Wengong in lieu of his name. Teachings. The four books. During the Song dynasty, Juzai's teachings were considered to be unorthodox. Rather than focusing on the I Ching like other Neo-Confucians, he chose to emphasize the four books: the Great Learning, the Doctrine of the Mean, the Analects of Confucius, and the Mencius as the core curriculum for aspiring scholar officials. For all these classics, he wrote extensive commentaries that were not widely recognized in his time, however. They later became accepted as the standard commentaries. The four books served as the basis of civil service examinations up until 1905, and education in the classics often began with Juzai's commentaries as the cornerstone for understanding them. The sources of Juzai's new approach to the Confucian curriculum have been found in several works of the Cheng brothers. Juzai codified the Cheng brothers' teachings and reworked them into his own philosophical program, moving from philology to philosophy. Vital force, principle, and the supreme ultimate. Juzai maintained that all things are brought into being by the union of two universal aspects of reality, Kai Kai Wade Giles, Che, sometimes translated as vital or physical, material force, and Lai Lai, sometimes translated as rational principle or law. The source and sum of Lai is the Taiji Tai Jai Wade Giles, Ti Chai, meaning the supreme ultimate. The source of Kai is not so clearly stated by Juzai, leading some authorities to maintain that he was a metaphysical monist and others. According to Juzai's theory, every physical object and every person has its Lai, and therefore has contact in its metaphysical core with the Taiji. What is referred to as the human soul, mind, or spirit is understood as the Taiji or the supreme creative principle, as it works its way out in a person. Kai and Lai operate together in mutual dependence. They are mutually aspective in all creatures in the universe. These two aspects are manifested in the creation of substantial entities. When their activity is waxing rapid or expansive, that is the yang energy mode. When their activity is waning slow or contractive, that is the yin energy mode. The yang and yin phases constantly interact, each gaining and losing dominance over the other. In the process of the waxing and waning, the alternation of these fundamental vibrations, the so-called five elements fire, water, wood, metal, and earth evolve. Juzai argues that Lai existed even before heaven and earth in terms of Lai and Kai. Juzai's system strongly resembles Buddhist ideas of Lai principle and Shishi affairs, matters, though Juzai and his followers strongly argued that they were not copying Buddhist ideas. Instead, they held they were using concepts already present long before in the I Ching. Juzai discussed how he saw the supreme ultimate concept to be compatible with principle of Taoism, but his concept of Taiji was different from the understanding of Tao in Taoism, where Taiji is a differentiating principle that results in the emergence of something new. Tao is still and silent, operating to reduce all things to equality and indistinguishability. He argued that there is a central harmony that is not static or empty but was dynamic, and that the supreme ultimate is itself in constant creative activity. Human nature. Juzai considered the earlier Confucian Zunzai to be a heretic for departing from Mencius' idea of innate human goodness. Even if people displayed immoral behavior, the supreme regulative principle was good. The cause of immoral actions is Kai. Juzai's metaphysics is that everything contains Lai and Kai. Lai is the principle that is in everything and governs the universe. Each person has a perfect Lai. As such, individuals should act in perfect accordance with morality. However, while Lai is the underlying structure, Kai is also part of everything. Kai obscures our perfect moral nature. The task of moral cultivation is to clear our Kai. If our Kai is clear and balanced, then we will act in a perfectly moral way. Heart/mind. Clarity of mind and purity of heart are ideal in Confucian philosophy. In the following poem, Reflections While Reading One, Juzai illustrates this concept by comparing the mind to a mirror, left covered until needed, that simply reflects the world around it, staying clear by the flowing waters symbolizing the Tao. In Chinese, the mind was sometimes called the square inch, which is the literal translation of the term alluded to in the beginning of the poem. Knowledge and action. According to Juzai's epistemology, knowledge and action were indivisible components of truly intelligent activity. Although he did distinguish between the priority of knowing, since intelligent action requires forethought, and the importance of action, as it produces a discernible effect, Juzai said knowledge and action always require each other. It is like a person who cannot walk without legs although he has eyes, and who cannot see without eyes although he has legs. With respect to the investigation of things and the extension of knowledge, Juzai advocated Juzai, the investigation of things. How to investigate and what these things are is the source of much debate. To Juzai, the things are moral principles, and the investigation involves paying attention to everything in both books and affairs because moral principles are quite inexhaustible. Religion. Juzai did believe in the existence of spirits, ghosts, divination, and blessings. Meditation. Juzai practiced a form of daily meditation called Zhengzhuo, similar to, but not the same as, Buddhist dhyana or chanting Wade Giles, ch and ting. His meditation did not require the cessation of all thinking, as in some forms of Buddhism. Rather, it was characterized by quiet introspection that helped to balance various aspects of one's personality and allowed for focused thought and concentration. His form of meditation was by nature Confucian in the sense that it was concerned with morality. His meditation attempted to reason and feel in harmony with the universe. He believed that this type of meditation brought humanity closer together and more into harmony. On teaching, learning, and the creation of an academy, Juzai heavily focused his energy on teaching, claiming that learning is the only way to sagehood. He wished to make the pursuit of sagehood attainable to all men. He lamented more modern printing techniques and the proliferation of books that ensued. This, he believed, made students less appreciative and focused on books, simply because there were more books to read than before. Therefore, he attempted to redefine how students should learn and read. In fact, disappointed by local schools in China, he established his own academy, White Deer Grotto Academy, to instruct students properly and in the proper fashion. Taoist and Buddhist influence on Juzai. Juzai wrote what was to become the orthodox Confucian interpretation of a number of concepts in Taoism and Buddhism. While he appeared to have adopted some ideas from these competing systems of thought, unlike previous Neo-Confucians, he strictly abided by the Confucian doctrine of active moral cultivation. He found Buddhist principles to be darkening and diluting the original mind as well as destroying human relations. Legacy. From 1313 to 1905, Juzai's commentaries on the four books formed the basis of civil service examinations in China. His teachings were to dominate Neo-Confucians, such as Wang Fuzhai, though dissenters would later emerge, such as Wang Yangming and the School of Mind 2.5 centuries later. His philosophy survived the intellectual revolution of 1917, and later Feng Yulan would interpret his conception of Lai, Kai and Teiji into a new metaphysical theory. He was also influential in Japan, known as Shoshigaku Juzai School of Master Zhu, and in Korea known as Jujihag, where it became an orthodoxy. Life magazine ranked Juzai as the 45th most important person in the last millennium. Juzai's descendants, like those of Confucius and other notable Confucians, held the hereditary title of Wujingboshi, which translated means erudite or doctor PhD of the five classics, and enjoyed the rank of Eta in the Mandarin bureaucrat system. One of his descendants married Emperor Lizong. Calligraphy. Juzai had, from an early age, followed his father and a number of great calligraphers at the time in practicing calligraphy. At first he learned the style of Cao Cao, but later specialized in the regular script of Zhang Yao and the running cursive script of Yan Zhenqing. Though his manuscripts left to the world are piecemeal and incomplete, and most of his works are lost. Moreover, His fame in the realm of philosophy was so great that even his brilliance in calligraphy was overshadowed. He was skillful in both running and cursive scripts, especially in large characters, but extant artworks consist mainly of short written notes in running script and rarely of large characters. His authentic manuscripts are collected by Nanjing Museum, Beijing Palace Museum, Liaoning Province Museum, Taipei Palace Museum, and the National Museum of Tokyo, Japan. Some pieces are in private collections in China and overseas. The Thatched Hut-hand scroll, one of Juzai's masterpieces in running cursive script, is in an overseas private collection. Thatched Hut-hand scroll contains 3 separate parts. Title: 102 characters by Juzai in running cursive scripts. The postscripts by Wen Tangxiang 1236 tilde 1283 of Song Dynasty, Fang Xiaoru 1375 tilde 1402, Zhu Yanming 1460–1526, Tang Yin 1470 tilde 1523, and Hai Rui 1514 tilde 1587 of the Ming Dynasty. Calligraphy style. The calligraphy of Juzai had been acclaimed as acquiring the style of the Han and Wei dynasties. He was skillful in the central tip, and his brush strokes are smooth and round, steady yet flowing in the movements without any trace of frivolity and abruptness. Indeed, his calligraphy possesses stability and elegance in construction with a continuous flow of energy. Without trying to be pretentious or intentional, his written characters are well balanced, natural, and unconventional. As he was a patriarch of Confucianism philosophy, it is understandable that his learning permeated in all his writings with due respect for traditional standards. He maintained that while rules had to be observed for each word, there should be room for tolerance, multiplicity, and naturalness. In other words, calligraphy had to observe rules and at the same time not be bound by them so as to express the quality of naturalness. It is small wonder that his calligraphy had been highly esteemed throughout the centuries by great personages as follows. Tao Chengyi around 1329 tilde 1412 of the Ming Dynasty. Whilst Master Zhu inherited the orthodox teaching and propagated it to the realm of sages, and yet he was also proficient in running and cursive scripts, especially in large characters. His execution of brush was well poised and elegant. However piecemeal or isolated his manuscripts, they were eagerly sought after and treasured. Wang Xiqing 1526–1590 of the Ming Dynasty. The brush strokes in his calligraphy were swift without attempting at formality, yet none of his strokes and dots were not in conformity with the rules of calligraphy. Wen Tangxiang of the Song Dynasty in his postscript for the Thatched Hut-hand scroll by Juzai. People in the olden days said that there was embedded the bones of loyal subject in the calligraphy of Yan Zhenqing. Observing the execution of brushstrokes by Juzai, I am indeed convinced of the truth of this opinion. Zhu Yanming of the Ming Dynasty in his postscript for the Thatched Hut-hand scroll by Juzai. Master Zhu was loyal, learned, and a great scholar throughout ages. He was superb in calligraphy, although he did not write much in his lifetime, and hence they were rarely seen in later ages. This roll had been collected by Wang Sima for a long time, and of late it appeared in the world. I chanced to see it once, and whilst I regretted that I did not try to study it extensively until now, in the study room of my friend, I was so lucky to see it again. This showed that I am destined to see the manuscripts of Master Zhu. I therefore wrote this preface for my intention. Hai Rui of the Ming Dynasty in his postscript for the Thatched Hut-hand scroll by Juzai. The writings are enticing, delicate, elegant, and outstanding. Truly such calligraphy piece is the wonder of nature. Footnotes and references.